Hey, everybody, Rich Groves here, and I want to thank you so much for joining me today as we have another series, another episode in this series of Get to Know the Speaker for Gateway to Freedom, which is our real estate investing conference, real estate investor conference coming up here in St. Louis, November 4th and 5th. And my guest today is I'm excited to be talking to him today, and he's a friend of mine. Kevin Dairaghi is our guest. Now, Kevin is going to be a speaker at our Gateway to Freedom's conference, November 4th and 5th. That's actually 1 month from today. It's incredible to think that. 1 month from today, and Kevin's going to be talking about networking and what it means to network as a real estate investor. And let me bring on Kevin, but before I do, let me give you a quick little rundown of Kevin. Kevin had a corporate job. He was in corporate America and went full time into real estate investing. He ditched Plan B, right? He just went right into real estate investing, didn't give himself an easy way out. He found himself in a very successful real estate investing company. He was spending $5,000 to $20,000 a month in marketing, but then a personal event happened in his life where he needed to basically step away, and his business actually, in his own words, melted away. And that's the right. And, Kevin is also a coach, and in his coaching is a strong conviction that your personal drives your professional. I can't wait to I want to dive into that a little bit here when we talk to Kevin. But Kevin is an incredible person. He's an incredible speaker, he's an incredible mentor. He is just an overall one of the good guys, one of the really, really good guys in the real estate investing space. So let me bring on Kevin Dairaghi right now, and welcome, Kevin. I really appreciate you joining us today. How are you doing today, sir?
Great, Rich. How are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. I hope I didn't butcher up your intro too much.
No. Actually, I was like, oh yeah, that's right. That all happened. Although you left off that after my business melted away, you forgot to mention it came
Oh,
back. I
the
built it back.
comeback. Oh, the comeback, the redemption story.
Nobody really wants to just watch everything melt. There's more to it. But wait,
That
there's
is
more.
true. That is true. To be continued. Kevin's going to tell the rest of that story. But you're right, I did.
Right?
Yeah, and that's we didn't bring Kevin on to be a speaker because we wanted to hear about his failures. We wanted to talk to him about everything, right? It's like the hero's story, right? If you've done any type of advanced literature writing or anything like that, if you studied any of those classes, the hero arc, right, has to have a fall, right? And then the hero gets rebuilt or reborn, kind of like the phoenix, right? And that's you, Kevin. Matter of fact, we're going to start calling you Kevin Phoenix Dairaghi.
I don't know about that, but all right, sounds great.
How you doing? You got your pup with you?
Yeah, we just got a new family member here, so probably
Oh,
8 days
cute.
into our family now.
What's your
Uh,
pup's name?
so I was able to help name it, and I'll let you figure out where I was a part of this. So this is Charlemagne Chanel.
Charlemagne Chanel.
So I got one of the names. My wife got the other, but we call her Coco. So
Coco.
uh,
Okay.
yeah, we're not going to make everybody run around calling her Charlemagne, but I was actually thinking this was actually a nice little. I got home. I was actually working on a property earlier today, and I got home and swapped over, combed my hair, at least little things. And I
Right.
was eating my lunch when I was talking to you earlier, Rich, and I was like,
Yeah.
um, dog barked. All right, let her out. Dog whines. Let her. Like, okay, what do
Yeah.
you need? What do you need? What do you need? Ringing the bell, doing all the things. Like, and I'm like, come on, you're not going. You're just standing there. Like, what's
Right.
going on? And I was like, oh, I know. And I went and I sat down, and she ran and just curled up on my lap.
Oh.
And I was like, all she really needed was me at that time.
Oh
And
man.
I was like, so much of our business really is just showing up at the right time. And sometimes it's just being there and present.
Yeah.
So when you talked about your personal drives your professional, what is it that fills us up? For Coco, it's just like a little me time, right? Or
Right.
she really loves my wife. But it's one of those, like, if you're not getting filled up, if you're not feeling loved, how do you show up for somebody else?
Right.
And that's what that personal drives to professional really means. My business melted away. I was spending the marketing money, Nobody was there to help me turn it off. Nobody was there to take some of the leads. No, and it just, I didn't have enough emotional bandwidth to handle someone else's problem at that time. And literally, I just watched everything kind of melt away. You know, all the things, all the successes you built up don't matter when it feels horrible. You know, it doesn't matter if you become 100 and you're super wealthy, but you don't have any kids or a loved one to be around. You know, if you're grossly overweight and can't even get off the couch, why did you do all of these things?
Right.
So that's where the roadmap coaching and kind of building a referral based business is all about. I was fortunate enough that I realized that people like to work with friends, people they know, like, and trust. You have to build up that rapport. We spend a lot of marketing money, like I was, 5, 10, 20 grand on pay-per-click ads or this ad or mailings of this or that to strangers. How about the people you already know? Why don't we convert them to being your, part of your group of finding your next deal? You know,
Right.
if the people that know, like, and trust you aren't recommending you to other people, then are they really friends, or are they really, are you adding enough value to their life that they want to refer you out?
Right. No, that's great, and that's so crucial. I love that, and I can't wait to hear you talk a lot more about that at the event. And I appreciate that little teaser. That's awesome. I really do.
Yeah,
So what was
teaser. That's it. Yeah.
yeah. So what was it, Kevin? What was it about you, that made you shift from corporate America, corporate gig, corporate job to real estate investing? When did you make, and how did you make that decision?
Uh, well, it's funny. I was actually just listening to a book, and she was talking about building her roadmap to get leave, and she made hers for 6 months. She said, I'm going to leave in 6 months. It was part of my roadmap that you were at my seminar that I talked about some of this. And during that process, I had the idea of what I wanted to become, right? My Kevin 0.0 at that time, I was a general contractor. I was working, building bids, building a business, and physically building, right? It was during the little slowdown we had a few years ago. And, it was just frustrating because people weren't spending the big money. The other contractors I knew, they were like, dude, 5 years ago, we were just freaking right. You could say any number and people would pay it. And then as things went, when we went through the little recession there, people got scared. People stopped spending money. And that's where I kind of, I built my roadmap of where I wanted to be. And I thought full-time real estate investing was my 3.0. It was my goal. Like, if I could have that, oh my gosh, everything will come true. But there's a lot of 1.0 and 2.0 life that goes into it, right? So my first goal was to clean my personal business.
Okay. Oh, we may have lost Kevin for a moment there. We froze up there. It's all right. You there, Kevin?
Yeah.
Sorry, we froze up there for a minute.
2.0 is like, I want to build more of my investing, right? So I need to find educational stuff. I need to find some people doing it, build my buyers list, maybe try a wholesale or two, work it out until I could build up enough where I could jump. As it turned out, part of me cleaning up my construction business was, first I was hired to be a consultant for construction, and then I was hired to be a project manager. So I was corporate, flying around managing multi-million-dollar things here and there, seeing my kids on the weekend type situation. And I had 2 young boys at the time. I now have 3. And it actually came to that spot. Neither one of us were ready, but I was like, hey, I don't belong here. This isn't working. And that was it. And I left. And it was one of those positions. I didn't have enough money. I didn't have all the things that someday you'd have, But what I had was the luxury of time and a supportive network of friends and family that stepped up and was able to get through that.
That's awesome.
So,
That that's awesome. That's good. I mean, that's how it worked for you, and it worked, right? I mean, said
well,
screw it.
I actually got advice to my first coach, George, through that time. He's like, Kevin, the longer you stay in it, like you will accumulate more in those few weeks or months of full time doing it than you will part time. You go get a job, you're not going to be able to do it. And he's like, if you can, stay in it.
Right.
And we did. It was a tough time, Rich.
Yeah.
You know, people say like, hey, just because you file the papers doesn't mean suddenly you're making it. You know, and that's
Right.
where it was like it was hard.
But
And there's a lot of gut checks and faith checks and actually during that process, I started to asking God, like I really believe in the faith component to this, but I was like, God, give me the person I need to meet today. You know, the divine appointment. You know, whether it was professional or not, it could be at a grocery store, it could be anywhere. But hey, who do I need to talk to today? And if I find that person, then it knows then I know I'm on the right path.
sure.
Sure enough, that was what 15 years ago, 18 years ago, and a lot of the people I met, investors are now coming back into my life. You know, it's like
Uh-oh. I wonder if we froze up again. It could be me. It could be me. Are you there, Kevin? Oh, could be my connection. So if I'm interrupting, I completely apologize. Are you there, Kevin? All right. There you go. I don't know. It froze up on me. I'm sorry. You were saying these people are coming back into your life. and,
yeah, they're
and
coming back into my life, and they're like, hey, remember when you helped me back then? I was like, me helped you. I thought you helped me. But it's kind of funny, like the same people, like you invest in your network, it will, you know, you bring the right people with you along the way and they'll follow you in whatever it is that you do. So
That's awesome. No,
pretty cool.
that's so true. That is pretty cool. Let me ask you. So I've got a set of questions I'd like to ask everybody that's been on, and this first set is kind of a flip side of a coin. You know, everybody sees the highlight reel, right? Everybody sees the good things somebody does, but they very rarely talk about the real life struggles as well. But I'm going to start with the positive side of this coin. So, what would you say has been your proudest moment as a real estate investor?
My proudest moment.
Yeah.
I mean, it was. There's two parts to it.
Okay.
Part of it is, I mean, I think one of the parts that I really like about it is the freedom.
Yeah.
But one of the proudest moments is I sold a house and I just paid off all my debt. Like, boom, like
That
there
is
you go.
awesome.
Um, you know, like that is a neat, that is a great feeling, and I hope more people find that freedom.
Yeah.
You know, I still have you know, a house payment and stuff like that, but
Sure.
it was one of those like, man, that feels great not to have that extra burden.
Yeah.
And my profession was allowed me to be able to do that. So I'd say
Absolutely.
that was a really cool moment
Yeah.
as an investor
Sure. Absolutely.
for
No,
anybody, especially
that's a
when
good one.
knowing how I started was so negative, right?
Right.
Being able to build out of that and then eventually just be like, yeah, what is that debt? Don't worry about it.
Right. What's
You
this debt
forget
cheat?
about it.
Right. Forget about
Forget
it. Oh, okay. So let me go on the flip side of that coin. Then, on the flip side of your coin, what would you say? And you might have already been alluding to it. I don't want to put words in your mouth or whatever, so I'm going to ask it anyway. But what would you say has been your biggest lesson learned as a real estate investor?
well, to say I've learned it all would be not quite correct. I'll tell you what, you still learn every day in every aspect of growing. A lot of people, when they get into this, it's not having the right mindset or direction of what success is. So when you start, you think you're successful, one, if you can pay yourself, and then building up a month or 3 month reserve, or like paying off debt, like all this stuff is a process. But say you
Right.
start having success at single family houses, And then you're like, oh, well, now I need to grow up and do multis. Okay, now I need to do commercial. Now I need to. This industry isn't like that. You can spend your whole life just mastering that one side. Like Darren talks about, in Darren Hefkin, one of your other speakers, like get boring, get so good at what you do that it's the process is boring. Like, oh, bought another house, painted it, like, things that are so commonplace. It's like, oh, I got a house under contract. It's like, yeah, so like, but if you've never done it, it's freaking frightening.
Right.
But once you start having the process and stuff, it's, I'm more interested in the relationships. How's my friend the closer doing? How's this person doing? And it gives you a chance to go and meet them and kind of grow those relationships. So.
Right. No, that's awesome. No, that's cool. I think that's crucial, and that's real life. It's real. You keep it real, Kevin. Appreciate it, man.
Keep it real. Yeah, Rich.
You do, man. Yo, you keep it real. You keep it 100.
Ooh, if I'm whatever my name was, you could be real rich. Ooh.
Right. I'm real rich.
Fine, right? Real rich.
Exactly. Oh man, absolutely. So we've got folks, and we've got folks that may be on the fence. They're maybe watching this going, man, I've heard about this Gateway to Freedom, or maybe they don't. Maybe this is the first time they've ever heard it. But they're thinking, no, I've been in the business 30 years, or I've been in the business 30 seconds, and I don't know if I should go to this. I don't know if this Gateway to Freedom Real Estate Investing Conference being held in St. Louis, November 4th and 5th, is something I should get into. Should I go to this thing? What would you say is a top reason for attending a conference like this?
Well, if I have to be true to my subject title, apparently, Rich, it would be networking.
Right. Well, if you didn't have to be true to your title.
No, but here's the thing, Rich. I talked with a friend and coaching person this morning, and she bought a ticket. Actually, she bought a VIP ticket.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, nice. I'm like, don't you know all of us? She's like, yeah, but I need to be close to this. And I thought the proximity was kind of a cool thing to it. Like, I need to be there. And then one of my friends and also another investor, like, he's doing it. He's bought houses. He's working on one of my houses right now. He's like, Kevin, I signed up. I'm like, dude, that's awesome. So it's two people I ran into today as we're doing this, just recently bought on. And I have 100% referral based business, Rich. Like, I don't spend money on the pay-per-clicks. I don't send out letters. It's very, who do you know? Like, it's very intentional type stuff. And I'm very fortunate with what has transpired out of that. I went from a world of working in volume, with all these crews and all this stuff. I work with my friends. It really is kind of game changing how that process is. And to know that you can make friends with all the speakers, if not all of them, at least me, and you, Rich, right? We're quite cool folks. But the idea that you can be in a room with the people that you will be working and building your future wealth with is kind of a big deal. It's tough when you just have a book or you just have an audio or you listen to a podcast. It's not the same of, I know you, Rich.
Right.
I know that, XYZ, mannerisms or tics, or like, there's more to it. And that's where the networking and all that stuff is just priceless. You have this, Rich, at such an affordable level that I think it's actually scaring people to think that it's not worth it. And it's like 100% the other direction. You have so many top-notch, amazing folks that I really do think your mission should be way more than this. Way more. So
I'm going to keep that note for next year. I think it's going to be $5,000. No, but no, I mean, honestly,
expectations will rise. So.
Right, I know, and even then, I mean, $5,000. You're going to get $5,000 in value. I know. I mean, we were over the weekend. We had, or no, I'm sorry, it was Monday. I it was Monday. I was talking to one of our speakers on one of these, and they mentioned, even you got what, 17 speakers? I was like, yeah. He said, look, what's the price? And I was like, it's $500, $497 for VIP. It's $297 for general admission. And if you use the coupon code Kevin, you get $50 off of that, right? So without the coupon code at 17 speakers, even if you got one little nugget of information, it was like $30 a nugget. So it's like if you paid somebody $30 to give you one little nugget, that's times 17, that's the price of admission, that alone, not to count, like you said, the networking component of it, the just so much other value to this. But yeah, I appreciate that sentiment, because you're right, it's so valuable. The price is, you're right, it's like, well, geez, what am I going to get for $500? A lot.
That's where I'm like, I think you might be scaring people the other way, like, but
right. It's like, what is this going to be? Some kind
of, it's kind of like speed dating for investors, like, all right, what's this topic? What's this topic? What's this topic?
Right. Yeah, no, that's a great way to put it.
I'm like, you have A-liners, like, these are real players that are all coming out and doing this for really to support you, Rich, which is pretty awesome.
I appreciate that. You're right. I mean, it was a lot easier to put together this lineup than I thought it was going to be. Right. I was like, man, and it was amazing. That's been one. Not that this isn't about me. This is about you. So I'll shut up now. But this is about you and getting to know you.
We're together, man.
Like, I know. I mean, we've known of each other for years, right? I mean, and we just in the past year, I guess, kind of got to know each other, and I'm extremely grateful for that opportunity. And I think I don't know if it was the first or second time we actually met face to face. I brought this to you, and you were like, "Yep, let me know. Yeah, I'm in." And I was like, that blew me away. It blew me away. I mean, that's just the kind of guy you are. So if people want to know what kind of guy is Kevin Dairaghi, he's that guy. He is an amazing, amazing person, and I appreciate that. Very, very grateful for that. I must have done something right over the last 10 years to leave an impression that all we had to do was meet once or twice. And
well, part of it, Rich, is you show up. You show up to everything.
Right.
Your events, other people's events, and you're not just a passive person. Like, your attitude going into this stuff is fantastic. And it's like, who doesn't? I heard some advice that I've kind of taken to heart for a lot of things, but it's go with the goers. If somebody's moving in the direction you want to go, and they're taking the advice and they're walking and they're talking the talk, go with the goers, man. Right. If it's really hard to, like, you're trying to push this person to do something and they're not doing it, it's like, they're just going to be harder later on to deal with, True. If somebody's already up and running and just needs somebody to run with, hey, man, I'll support the heck out of that person.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, I appreciate that. Well, let me refocus on that. I know we're running out a little bit of time here, but so this whole thing is get to know the speaker, right? So I want and hopefully people have seen a little bit about you. They've seen your personality.
So is there a segment about you, Rich? Like, how do we get to know about you?
Not really. I guess maybe I'll just hog the stage. I'll get on and do a live and tell everybody my backstory someday. But I don't know. But
that's like how all superheroes, like, we all get our own origin story, right?
That's true. Rich, I want to pump people up.
Radioactive investing.
Exactly. Right. I was bit by this spider. Next thing you knew, I could do great real estate deals. No.
And boom, funding showed up. Like,
exactly.
Spider web on your funding. Funding.
What is that? I mean, that is also the thing, right? I mean, you got to be willing to put in the work. You said, show up. And I appreciate that, because I do. I try to do some stuff like that and try to show up and everything. But you've also got to put in a lot of work, right? If a lot of people get into real estate investing thinking it's going to be easy, right? I mean, it's not complicated, but it's not easy, right? You got to put in the work. So what do you say to those people that say, I'm going to come to this event, and this is me keeping it real, and I know you'll keep it real. I'm going to come to this event, and within a week or two, I'm going to have 20 deals lined up, or I'm going to have, whatever. Get your first deal within 7 days after attending this conference. And I'm not trying to, because there might be some people out there that can do that, but the expectations, like, what would you say to people like that are just starting out, that want to come to this conference because they don't even know where to start and we're having 17 speakers with 17 completely different backgrounds and different different topics they're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about so many different topics. What would you say to somebody who's like brand new and they think, I'm just going to come to this conference, I'm going to be immensely successful right away? What would you say to that person?
Well, one, I love that mindset, right? Because you got to be able to create that. And if you want to be that immensely successful that quick, it's going to take a lot of work, and it's going to knock your life work balance out of whack, which is okay in sprints. But if you make that a habit, that's not okay. Then you made it okay to ignore your family, to ignore your parents, ignore your friends, to ignore all these other components of your life, your health, and you could do that for a sprint, a week or so. But if you make it a habit, hey, what are you eating? If you start making it a habit, then those are unhealthy habits, and it's going to be a lot harder to uncreate those than creating them. She doesn't apparently care about all of these topics that we're talking about.
Right. No, she's so bored. Okay. One last thing, and I think you're dead right on that. I mean, you it's okay to have that attitude and that mindset that I am going to be successful. Absolutely, but you got to work for it. Sure.
I would say, Rich, if I was new walking in, I would look at these people and I would want to know, is that their real selves, or is this like an image that they've created? And then with that, if I want to learn more from this person, do I want to become that person and what they're talking about, or do I not?
Oh, yeah.
And I would find somebody that I want to be, and then I would learn from them.
Absolutely.
Right? You become the people you're around.
That is
inside jokes and mannerisms and like the way you look at stuff. I had this, it was actually over COVID. The advice, the concept was, if you want to become a millionaire, you start hanging around millionaires. If you want to become a multimillionaire, you start hanging around those multimillionaires, right? Just the way that they spend their time and act and do all these things. And then, you start hanging around in different circles and you realize, I do things differently, and now you graduate to a different level and you're like, oh, wow, I thought that was a big deal. Now it's not. Now I want to do other things. And if it's something as easy as like buying your first house, like even your personal house, say you're renting, great, make that a goal. Right. If it's buying your first rental or your first flip, awesome. I think you got to give yourself permission to fail and also to succeed. A lot of times we don't give ourselves that space to be able to have a setback. Because it's really those setbacks that create character. How do you deal with adversity? And if you never deal with that, how are you going to, when the stakes get higher, how are you going to deal with it later if you can't deal with it on smaller things?
Good point. Great point. Great point. Well, let me finish up here with one other question, because I want people to know, Kevin Dairaghi, outside of your professional life, real estate investing, coaching, mentoring, what is your biggest passion?
Gosh, I would say it's still people. I'm a big fan, because Darren and I went through our coaching, like we had professional coaching, and they kept trying to tell us to no, work on, personal and professional, two different worlds. And we both were like, kind of, our work is it's very interchangeable. And we have become friends, Rich, without, but part of that is we also, the more we get to be friends, the more business will come out of our relationship. I don't have to call Rich, right? I don't have to call you and be like, hey, do you have any houses to send me?
Right.
No, you know what I do. But another passion is dude, helping people realize that they can do amazing things is probably more exciting for me to do than it is to flip another house. Those are fun things for me, but it's when someone needs it and I'm there to help and they're able to step up to the next thing or become the bigger versions of themselves, that is probably one of my bigger passions, whether it's on or off the clock, right?
Sure.
But it's just being there, is watching people grow and succeed in life.
That's awesome. Man, that's awesome. That was an incredible tidbit to tell all of our, the people going to watch this either live or on a replay. That's fantastic, because that is Kevin Dairaghi, and that was a great point to leave on and to end this conversation. I appreciate you being here today, Kevin. Thank you so much for pouring into the St. Louis real estate investing community, and anybody else who might be coming from the Midwest or anywhere else in the country. They're going to have an incredible time. They're going to have an awesome experience learning from you and listening to you, because you're going to have huge insights to give folks. And I really appreciate your time today, buddy. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks, Rich. Thanks for having me, and apparently my dog.
Yeah, absolutely. Coco. I'm just going to go with the short name.
yeah. Charlemagne Chanel.
That's right.
AKA Coco. Yeah.
Well, thanks so much, Kevin. Appreciate you, buddy. And you have a good one.
Right.
I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks, Rich. See you, man.